Hello and welcome to part 2 of the course. In this part we are going to create one more layer of cracks because I want to have some even smaller pieces of broken tiles. Then we are going to remove some of the tiles, and with that we are starting to create some space for the thin set mortar that we are going to create later. And after that we are going to add some slopes to certain broken pieces that are smaller in size. So I will come here to the layer 3 of cracks, and first I'm gonna make some more space here, and I will duplicate everything that I have here by pressing Ctrl D. For the Clouds 2 noise, I'm gonna drag a connection from here. And here for the blend, I'm gonna drag this here. And I will also reroute this by holding Shift. So for the tile sampler here, I can just keep this connection. And the only change I'm gonna make to the layer 4 of cracks is to change the scale of the cells tree. I'm gonna change this to 10. Let's change this also to mask of 4th layer of cracks. And I think I'm gonna leave the mask as it is. And if I click here at the blend node and I press Shift D, this will bypass the node and I can see how it looks before and after. With this we finish the crack layering, and what I want to do next is to remove some random tiles and create the space for the thin set mortar. I'm gonna click here and bring in a flood fill node. For now I'm gonna reroute this back to the blend node, and for this flood fill node to properly work, I need a levels node here. And with these levels, I want to bring in the black values so I get a better delimitation of the boundaries here. I'm gonna double click the flood fill node and then single click the levels. And now if I move this slider, I can see what is happening in the flood fill node. And with the help of this levels node, the flood fill is working properly and recognizing each of these smaller pieces as individual areas. I'm gonna click on the levels and press Shift D so you can see before and after. So this is without the levels and this is with the levels. By the way, if you work in 2K, this flood fill will give you different results, so you may want to switch to 4K. Now that I have the flood fill in place, I'm gonna bring in a flood fill to random grayscale. And as you can see, we get this nice variation of grayscale values here for each individual piece. And with the help of this, I'm gonna bring in a histogram select, and I'm gonna delete some of these pieces. So here at the contrast, let's bring this all the way up. Let's play with these two sliders, and I'm gonna leave something like this. You can play with these values and delete as many pieces as you want. I'm gonna reroute the output so I can see what is going on the 3D view also. And so far our tiles are quite tall, but we are gonna adjust their range in a couple of minutes. Now let's move forward and add some slopes to the tiles. And I want to add slopes only to these smaller pieces of tiles. And I will mask out the bigger pieces because these bigger pieces are still glued to the ground, so there is no way they can have any slope. For this I'm gonna need a float fill to gradient. And this needs the float fill as input, so I'm gonna drag a line and press Alt to create a dot and drag this here. And here at the float fill to gradient, I'm gonna change the angle variation and increase it all the way up. And if I reroute this to the output, you can see two issues here. One is that we don't have the missing tiles anymore, and the other issue is that all of our tiles get to have slopes, which I don't want. So first I'm gonna get back the missing pieces, and for that I need a blend node. I'm gonna hook up the histogram select here and change the blending mode to min darken. And now these tiles are deleted again. Let's move these up. And as I said earlier, I want to make the slopes affect only the smaller pieces. For that I need a mask of all the smaller pieces that we have here. And if you recall, when we created the cracks layering, we created 3 masks. These 2 are different masks, and the third one is the same with the second one. With these masks we specified that we want to have the cracks only in certain areas, so we need those areas again. So I'm gonna drag a line from here, and I'm gonna bring in a blend node because I have to combine both of these masks. I'm gonna choose max lighten at the blending mode. Let me drag this here, and I'm gonna add a few dots to arrange everything. In fact, I can drag this back here and just leave it here. Then we can drag a connection from this blend node. Press Alt and here I need another blend. To blend the sloped areas with the original. And for the mask I'm gonna use this. And if I hold Shift and reroute everything, you can see that our bigger tiles or intact tiles gets masked out. Next I want to normalize the height of these tiles. So I'm gonna bring in a histogram range. And for the range I'm gonna type something like 0.50. I think I'm gonna also bring in a blur HQ. And reduce it to something like 0.05. And this will add a slight blur to the margins of the tiles. And there is one more thing which I want to do here, and that is to arrange these lines. So I'm going to reconnect this here and delete this dot. And I will also add some frames here. Let me make some more space. Let's frame this and label it as remove some tiles. And this I'm gonna label as add slope.